Hi, my name is Amber. Welcome back to my channel, Books and Beaches. So, today we've got to talk about May new releases. Now, I know that April was a fantastic month for new releases, and it looks like May is going to give April a run for its money because there are plenty of new releases coming out that I'm like, I'm definitely going to want to read those. So I apologize to your wallet in advance, but if you're anything like me, I think a lot of these are going to be right up your alley. So let's go ahead and jump in. Now I've got my computer here because I've got my list. Some of these I know a little bit about, some of them I don't. I've just seen the title and it really grabbed my attention. But as you know, a lot of them are going to be either mysteries or thrillers because that's just kind of my vibe. You're not going to find a lot of romance on this list. So let's go ahead and get started. First date in May would be May 2nd, and I've got several of them coming out here. And like I said, I'm going to kind of try to give you a little bit of synopsis of some of these, but it's going to take me a minute. So the first one is Daydreams by Laura Hankin, and I don't think I have ever read anything by this author before. But this one says, a deliciously entertaining novel about the stars of a popular teen show from the early 2000s, which is why it kind of rang true for me. I graduated high school in 2005. Yeah, I'm getting old. According to the middle schoolers, at least. And the reunion special, 13 years after their scandalous flameout, that will either be their last chance at redemption or destroy them all for good. So I was like, all right. And as always, I don't want to know too much more with some of these. I like kind of that first little glimpse at the synopsis, but that one sounded good for sure. The next one coming out on May 2nd as well is Liar's Beach, and this is by Katie Cotugno. I know these names sometimes. I'm sorry. This one is for sure YA, and I think I have the arc of this one on NetGalley actually. And it says here, a fresh new take on Agatha Christie's classic murder mysteries, The Mysterious Affair at Styles, which I've never read that one before. We've got a detective, but the detective in that book is recast as a brilliant, brash teen girl named Holiday and narrated by her childhood friend Lyndon, an athlete scholar who fits right in as his elite New England prep school, all while holding secrets of his own. So, looks like it's going to take place in Martha's Vineyard. And it's making a lot of comparisons to the Agatha Christie novel, which don't make sense to me, but that's okay. But it says, someone is found lying face down in the pool, and the only question is, who did it? These are my kind of YA. I like thriller YA, so it sounded good, and I'm glad I've got the arc of it because I can check that out. And then maybe I'll want to check out the Agatha Christie. So the next one, and this one is probably on a lot of people's lists for May, and that is Meet Me at the Lake by Carley Fortune. I loved Carley Fortune's first book, which makes a lot of sense because I loved... it gets compared to this one, Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. So this one is called Meet Me at the Lake, and it says, Fern Brookbanks has wasted far too much of her adult life thinking about Will Baxter. She spent just 24 hours in her early 20s with the aggravatingly attractive idealistic artist, a chance encounter that spiraled into a day-long adventure in Toronto. The timing was wrong, but their connection was undeniable. They shared every secret, every dream, and made a pact to meet 1 year later. Fern showed up, Will didn't. So I am sure we can kind of predict where this one is going, but like I said, I really liked her first one, so this one is going on my list. Another YA, and like I said, we're going to probably find a little bit of YA on this list because YA thrillers are kind of my jam. Especially when it comes to that genre. And so For Found Dead by Natalie D. Richards is coming out on May 2nd. And it says, at the movie theater where Joe works, the last show has ended, but the nightmare is just beginning. Sometimes that's like where I like to stop because I don't want to know too much more. Natalie D. Richards wrote, oh, of course, I'm not going to be able to remember what the book I read was. It was very ice based. Oh, Five Total Strangers, which are where strangers meet at the airport and kind of ride home together during the snowstorm. And I liked that one. So this one was on my radar and it makes me curious. I mean, Nightmare at a Movie Theater. Could be pretty interesting. I see isolated, thriller trope going there. And then another one that is YA, also coming out on May 2nd, is Lying in the Deep, and this one is by Deanna Urban. And quite honestly, I can't remember why this one ended up on my list. I think I saw it on NetGalley. But it says a juicy mystery of jealousy, love, and betrayal set on a semester at sea. Oh, I like a cruise. So, inspired cruise ship with a diverse cast of delightfully suspicious characters who leave you guessing with every jaw-dropping twist. So I was like, those sound like buzzwords to me. Count me in. Even though it's YA, like I said, this is kind of where my YA fits for me, so that one is going on the list. All right, the next one is actually kind of a weird one because it doesn't come out on the typical like Tuesday release schedule. This one is actually coming out on May 8th, but this is for my fans. Mix them together and you get friends. Can you tell it's been a while since I filmed? But this is for fans of Freida McFadden. I actually just finished The Housemaid and The Housemaid's Secret. I read those basically back to back. Really enjoyed them. So I've liked a lot of what she's written. They're quick and they're usually on Kindle Unlimited, which I like them even more. But this one, I got an email today. It's coming out as Ward D. And that says, medical student Amy Brenner is spending the night on a locked psychiatric ward. She's been dreading her evening working on Ward D, the hospital's inpatient mental health unit. There are very specific reasons why she never wanted to do this required overnight rotation, reasons nobody can ever find out. So, Freida McFadden writes some really good, like, fast-paced thrillers, in my opinion, so that one sounded great. So when I saw that email, I was like, yep, adding that one to my list. All right, the next one coming out on May 9th, and this is another YA. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of YA on this list today, and that is This Is the Way the World Ends by Jen Wilde, or Wilde, depending on how you pronounce that one. And the cover kind of got me on this one. It's got an interesting cover, and obviously I'll have it here. It says, and this is why it ended up on my list. Fans of One of Us is Lying, Karen McManus, one of my YA favorites, and The Hazelwood, which I've never read, are cordially invited to spend one fateful night surviving an elite private school's epic masquerade ball in this debut thriller, This Is the Way the World Ends. So, like I said, don't always want to know too much more. I am seeing kind of in the first line that we might have some like neurodivergent characters, so I think that's kind of cool, and I am always up to try a debut author, so that is coming out on May 9th. All right, coming out on May 16th, the first one is called Killing Me by Michelle Gagnon, and let me just see here. This one, I think I was finding on a lot of people's lists, and it says utterly original and wildly entertaining. Great things. With a protagonist whose life is a total mess. Killing Me is the laugh out loud funny thriller. Always an interesting thing. We never knew we needed. Okay. I love this line, and I think this is where I want to leave it. It says, she escaped a serial killer. Then things got weird. I don't want to know much more, but I am really curious after reading that line. So, could be a really interesting mix of a couple different genres. So, next up, coming out on May 16th, and once again, this is one that is probably on a lot of people's lists if they're doing anticipated reads for May, and that is The True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren. I do love that author duo. Are all of their books perfect? But no. But I read them anyways. So this one says, sparks fly when a romance novelist and a documentary filmmaker join forces to craft the perfect Hollywood love story and take both of their careers to the next level, but only if they can keep the chemistry between them from taking the whole thing off script. With most romances, I'm sure we know where this one is going. I'm not sure if this one is a continuation of their last one that they did, and now, of course, that name is going to escape me. The Soulmate Equation. So I'm not sure if they're connected or not, but I guess we will find out. And like I said before, this is one of my favorites, and this is a Christina Lauren book, so I will always give them a try. But and then the final one coming out on May 16th is another YA, and that is Will Never Tell by Wendy Hurd. And this one I found while I was doing my research, and it seemed to be on a couple popular lists. And it says, an ambitious and juicy whodunit doused in Hollywood lore, so kind of two different worlds there, perfect for readers of sexy summer thrillers like The Twin by Natasha Preston, which I enjoy Natasha Preston's writing, and The Agatha by Kathleen Glasgow and Liz Lawson. So it says, no one at Hollywood High knows who's behind Will Never Tell, a viral YouTube channel where the anonymous creators trespass behind the scenes of LA's most intriguing locales. So I don't want to read too much more, but it sounded kind of interesting. And if you like that little like Hollywood aspect, and with most of my YAs, I like to enjoy them, but I also want to look for stuff that I think I can recommend to kids at school. So there's that, but we'll see. Oh, and gotta hydrate lately. Like I said, I'm getting back in this filming thing. There's a lot of talking, but I love it. It feels so good to be back. All right, coming out on May 23rd. Now this one is probably a little bit different than a lot of the thrillers that you're going to find on my list. And this one is Someone Else's Bucket List by Amy T. Matthews. Now this is, it's categorized as like a contemporary, maybe even chick lit. But it says, I liked how it described it. It's like a look at how the bonds of sisterhood can shape our lives. So let's see here. Ooh, it's like the bittersweet P.S. I love you for the digital age. Did not see that the first time I researched it. It says, after the untimely death of her outgoing, hugely successful influencer sister, an introverted woman takes on the terrifying challenge of completing her sister's bucket list as the world watches in a bid to save her family and others from the crippling medical debt her cancer left behind. So definitely kind of a different take on what I normally pick up, but it sounded really intriguing, and I can only imagine kind of what that journey would look like. So, all right, next up is actually one I believe I heard Lindsay's Little Library talk about, because I think she had an arc of it, and that is The Senator's Wife by Liv Constantine. Now, I know Liv Constantine is like an author duo. I don't believe I've read anything by them before, but I'm sure I probably have something on my shelf by them. But this one is a DC-based book. So we have a DC philanthropist suspects her seemingly perfect employee is secretly plotting to steal her husband, her reputation, even her life, in this seductive novel of psychological suspense. Love that. And this is the same author that wrote The Last Mrs. Parrish, which I know is a very popular book that I haven't read. So I know Lindsay read it because she went to DC for this past spring break, and I'm pretty sure she liked it. So I had to add that one to my list. Next up, coming out on May 23rd, and this one I believe has been on a lot of popular thriller lists, and this is Bad Summer People by Emma Rosenblum. Yes, I did say that right. I had to double check. And it says, a whip-smart, prelusive debut, about infidelity, backstabbing, and murderous intrigue set against an elusive summer haven on Fire Island. So I'm getting that little like beach vibe that I love, as well as the thriller vibe that I love. So I don't want to know too much more, but obviously I'm adding it to my list. And then finally, the very last one that I've heard a couple people talk about that's coming out on May 23rd is The Chateau, and this is by Jaclyn Goldis. I hope I'm saying that right. And it says, a dream girl's trip to a luxurious French chateau devolves into a deadly nightmare of secrets and murder in this stylish, twisty thriller, and it compares it for fans of Lucy Foley, Ruth Ware, and Lisa Jewell. 3 authors that I really quite enjoy their thrillers. So, and I think it's interesting being set in France, and I have a feeling it's going to be a little bit of isolatedness. The cover is like really like, it's like a big old dark manor, super creepy. So yeah, like I said, with my thrillers, I don't want to know too much. So that one is the final one coming out on May 23rd. And last but not least, we have 4 books coming out on May 30th. Like I said, April, May, fabulous months. We have got The Celebrants by Stephen Rowley. Now, I know I have the arc of this one because I got really excited to see that he was coming out with another book. Stephen Rowley wrote The Guncle, which I loved, adorable on audiobook if you haven't read that one yet. And so this one is listed as contemporary fiction, maybe even a little literary fiction, and I think it's going to have some LGBTQ like representation in it, and the Guncle did as well. And it says, a big chill for our times, celebrating decades-long friendships and promises, especially to ourselves, by the best-selling author of the Guncle. And it says, it's been a minute, or 5 years, since Jordan Vargas last saw his college friends, and 28 years since their graduation, when their adult lives officially began. So now they're all coming together in a new decade, and all of their responsibilities, and it says they are trying to remind themselves that life is worth living. So I don't want to read too much more. I do have the arc of this one. I haven't gotten to it yet, but hopefully I'll get to it before the end of May. And like I said, I really enjoyed the Guncle, so I'm looking forward to picking this one up too. Next, coming out on May 30th is Beware the Woman by Megan Abbott. And this one kind of got on my radar because I read a Megan Abbott book. It was either earlier this year or late last year. And that was The Turnout. Super weird, super creepy, like dance and thriller together, which I have a dance background. Very, very interesting premise. So this one I picked that up because I recognized her name. And this one is an eerie and precedent novel about a family outing that takes a terrifying turn. So, the quote here, "Honey, I just want you to have everything you ever wanted. That's what JC's mom always told her." And she felt like she finally did. She's got this new family. And let's see, it takes a turn when she has a health scare, and like everything's got a turn. And the bottom line here, it says, the dense woods surrounding the cottage are full of dangers, but are the greater ones inside. So I'm sure something's going down, either couple-wise or whatever it is. So adding that one to my list, because like I said, I enjoyed the read that I had of the other one by her. So next up, and this is probably a very highly anticipated novel, especially if you have read this author's other book, and the covers are actually very similar, and that is Drowning by TJ Newman. Now, TJ Newman wrote the book called Falling, which is a book that I really enjoyed, but anybody I've recommended it to, I was like, do not read this book before you fly, because it's about like a flight being taken hostage. And so, and actually I always forget TJ Newman is a woman, so keep that in mind. But Drowning is also a flight-based book, so if you're flying, keep that in mind. And it says a flight attendant turned, so actually TJ Newman was already a flight attendant, so that's why she's writing some of these. And Falling was her debut. I actually didn't know that. This is a commercial jetliner that crashes into the ocean and sinks to the bottom with passengers trapped inside, and the extraordinary rescue operation to save them. So I have a feeling we're gonna get like all of that anxious feels in this one, and yeah, I am really, really looking forward to picking that one up because I loved Falling. So that one is coming out on May 30th. And then the final book that I have for the month of May is The New Mother by Nora Murphy. So this one I actually think I have on NetGalley as well. I think it was because like one day it was free, or like anybody could pick it up and read it. But I haven't picked it up yet, of course. Gosh, I'm working on that NetGalley goal, everyone, I promise. And now, of course, my Goodreads has frozen, so let me see if I can look this up for you. Let's see. It's called The New Mother, like I said, and this is both relatable and nerve-wracking, sympathetic and bone-chilling, a new twist on motherhood and murder in suburbia. So you're kind of getting that mix. It'll be interesting. It says, isolated, lonely, tired. It's hard being the new mother. Sometimes it's murder. So don't want to know too much more, but I just thought it was super intriguing and something I'm looking forward to picking up. So those are all of the books that I am interested that are coming out in May. Like I said before, it's going to be another good month, just like April was. Are there any books that you know of coming out in May that I should put on my radar? Let me know in the comments below. As always, if you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.